Alrighty guys, we're back for Dimir Skeletons, and this is a Duskmourn standard brew, and I'm Red Cat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, this was a suggestion over in the Discord, so thank you so much for the suggestion. It's gonna be a fun one. Really just splashing blue in here for a couple cards, one of them being Skullsnap Nuisance, 2 mana, 1/4 rock and Dimir colors up there. It's an insect skeleton, cool. It has flying and eerie, so whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, Surveil 1. Surveil really comes in handy, honestly. Got some good enchantments to pair this with, like Corpses of the Lost, of course. That's a 3 mana enchantment. Skeletons you control get +1/+0 and have haste. And when this enters, you create a 2/2 black skeleton pirate creature token at the beginning of your end step. If you descended this turn, you may pay 1 life. If you do, return Corpses of the Lost to its owner's hand. Cool stuff, man. Of course, pairing beautifully with the Surveil on the Nuisance as well. I don't know how often you're going to want to bounce Corpses of the Lost back, but I do know that it does happen because this will be like the only card you have at the time that produces more skeletons every turn. We do have other enchantments packed in that produce skelebellies, like Case of the Stashed Skeleton, of course. That'll do the thing. What other skeletons do we have packed in? Well, we have all 4 Cult Conscript. Okay. Got all 4 Forsaken Miners. Nice. And we actually have all 4 Tinybones, the Pickpocket as well. Even though it's a legendary creature, I just wanted as many 1-drop skeletons packed into the build as possible. I mentioned that we're just splashing blue for a few cards. The other card is actually Chart a Course as a 3-of. It's a 2 mana sorcery, draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you attacked this turn, which honestly, you're going to want to attack pretty much every turn with your skeletons anyways, so it should just be 2 mana, draw 2 cards in a build like this, hopefully. But then also, you're not too sad if you do end up discarding the card anyways, because again, maybe you want to descend for the Corpses of the Lost or something. Or maybe you're discarding Forsaken Miner, and eventually you can bring that back when you commit a crime, which is pretty easy in here. We got a lot of spot removal packed in. Tinybones also helps us commit crimes too. What kind of spot removal do we have? Well, we have 3 cut downs. Okay. We have a single Disfigure in here, so it's a 1 mana instant speed. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. This is mainly in here for the mono red matches, but then also, since we're swinging in so much, I don't think it's going to be unheard of for Disfigure to be a pretty decent combat trick too. We have 3 Bitter Triumphs packed in. That'll definitely do the thing. Also potentially helping us descend to, or again, discarding a Forsaken Miner is not terrible. We also have 3 Nowhere to Run, which is enchantment removal. So the enchantment will pair well with the Eerie on the Nuisance. So Nowhere to Run is a 2 mana enchantment with Flash. When it enters, target creature and opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Creatures your opponents control can be targets of spells and abilities as though they didn't have hexproof, and ward abilities of those creatures don't trigger as well. This has been pretty good in every build that I tried it in so far. It's also been very good for the opponents too, so it should do the thing today. More things on the top end. We actually have 4 Patchwork Banners, 3 mana artifact. When it enters, you choose a creature type. Of course, you're going to choose skeletons. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Beautiful. And then also you can tap this to add 1 mana of any color, which happens to be pretty good when you have this many 1 mana cards, because what that means is your turn 3 isn't just going to be banner. It's turn 3 banner, tap banner for a 1-drop as well. So that should be terrific in here. The mana base, guys. We got a couple Cavern of Souls. We have all 4 Underground Rivers. We do have one of the Verges packed in, as well as all 4 Darkslick Shores. Heavily leaning towards swamps because that's what the deck is heavily leaning towards. Only a couple honorable mentions today. I thought about 3 Tree Mascot. It's a changeling, and it also helps us mana fix, so something to consider, I guess, right? And then I also thought about Gisa the Hellraiser for the top end. Being at 5 mana, it's definitely too steep for what this deck list is trying to do, especially when we only have 19 land packed in. Honestly, hopefully 19 land is going to be enough. Okay, guys, I do my dandiest to save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let's go ahead, take this into some ranked, and see how we do. Right into that first game, guys. What am I expecting from the build? A little bit, honestly. I think it's going to be pretty good. Every time I brought skeletons to the table in the past, it was always surprising at how fast it actually goes, right? Oh, and I like this hand too. And we go first. Wow. All right, let's keep this. Darkslick Shores, Forsaken Miner. We have options for our turn 2 based on what the opponent plays here. Heartfire Hero, so it looks like it's going to be Forsaken Miner number 2 and the Cut Down, or Cult Conscript 2, that'll work. Well, we'll see if they block first. Yeah, we're going to want to take out the Heartfire Hero while we can. Let's get the Cult Conscript down. And we'll cut down before they untap. Okay, pokes us for 1. Technically, we took 2 to get rid of that Heartfire Hero since the river also did some pain damage to us. Ember Heart Challenger swinging for 2. Okay. So far, I think we can outpace this. Definitely going to need to find our 3rd mana, though. Especially if we see more of our 3 drops next turn. That'll be a big problem. Okay, Nuisance is a pretty good blocker. Get that Nuisance down. If we do see our 3rd off the top next turn, I'm tempted by the banner into the Forsaken Miner, but it's probably just going to be Corpses of the Lost to get a big swing. Vitali's Favor. Oh, heck yeah, dude. We got some Boros Auras. Ember Heart Challenger. That's a pretty good hit. That's a pretty good hit. We could block or take 4 down to 11. I'm not going to chump this time round. We might be in some serious danger, though. Uh-oh, we did end up seeing more of our 3 drops instead of mana. Well, that's a shame. Forsaken Miner can't block. We're going to have to keep this Nuisance as a blocker for sure this time. Swing, see what they do. We could have kept the Conscript as a blocker too, but I think we need to... Because if we can survive next turn while still putting a lot of pressure on the opponent's face, then there still might be a chance, like bringing them down to 10. If for some reason we don't need to block with the Nuisance, and we see our 3rd mana next turn, then Corpses of the Lost can of course get us there. Right, so I mean that's 5 on the board already. They got 3 open mana. It's all risky at this point, right? No, we should block. We should try to block the Challenger that doesn't have trample. I think it's going to be really easy to give it trample, but at least it'll be 4 less damage. I was going to say, like, keeping it back, I guess, doesn't really matter anyway, since we're going to be generating an extra 2/2 off the Corpses of the Lost. Worst case scenario would, of course, be if they end up getting a chump blocker down at the end of their turn. Shard Mage's Rescue, Prowess. That's 9. Down to 2. They still got 1 mountain open, guys. Could be a shock. Oh, they played a Forge too. Heartfire Hero, they do get a chump blocker on the board. That's terrible news. Oh, they get 2 chump blockers on the board. It wasn't mana anyways. This could have gone either way for real, right? And we only got 19 mana packed in. I won't be afraid to do like a mid-video revamp if we think we might need 20 mana, right? But we'll see. More testing required for sure. We'll just let them block and win that way. Drop the GGs. The double Heartfire Hero was brutal, but a lot needed to line up in order for us to get through, right? Not only did they not, or we needed them to miss blockers, but we also needed to find that 3rd mana. Drawing into more 3 drops that game with only the 2 mana available was pretty brutal as well. If we saw more of our early game or early game removal, I think that could have leaned towards us a bit. Because all we needed is 1 piece of our spot removal to take care of one of those challengers. And we could still have like a couple more turns then. And a couple more turns is all Skeletons really need. So yeah, I think that easily could have gone either way. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, huh? I'll say it again. All right, opponent, what you bringing to the table? Couple cut downs. We go first. See, all this excess removal, that would have been huge in that last game. All right, we'll keep this. This is probably a pretty decent hand. Although if we go first, then there's a chance that the opponent's just playing control. So it could be a pretty slow hand then, if that's the case. Okay. They drop a Golgari Surveil land. Get rid of a Founding the Third Path. Okay. Call Skeleton. I guess we'll swing first. Get the Case of the Stash Skeleton down. The Bitter Triumph will probably be the most important removal in hand versus Reanimator. Surveil, it looks like they kept it on top. Patchwork Banner, not terrible, guys. Call Skeleton, play Banner, and this lets us keep the cut down open too. I don't know how much cut down's going to do versus what we're up against, but this extra boost is awesome. Swinging for 6 puts them on a clock. So I can't believe this wasn't removal, right? Can't believe it wasn't their own cut down. This type of deck list runs the Archaeologist, which could be a great target for cut down, actually. Because Archaeologist is a pretty good blocker. Founding the Third Path, one of our creatures is dead this turn. Even if it's like tempo, they just tempo the, or if it's a bounce spell, they bounce the token. So either way, one of these things are dead. I could only imagine. Wail of the Forgotten. It is going to be a bounce spell. For the token, then. Seeing some more skeletons on top. Next turn, we'll solve the case. I think, of course, we'll grab... Oh, wow. They're going to bounce the banner here. I guess I could have tapped that to float some mana, right? Ah, they found a cut down. Okay. Cult Conscript goes to the grave. Forsaken Miner is not terrible. We'll go Patchwork Banner. That definitely gave them an extra turn here, so... Yeah, since we didn't solve the case, too. Actually really liked the opponent's line of play there, bouncing the banner instead. The thought process, of course, is bouncing the token means we won't be able to get it back onto the board, but they didn't want us to solve the case. I think that worked out really nicely. Attracts in the grave. Oh, buddy. Looks like Bitter Triumph is in the build as well. Say its name. We got to go a little bit faster than what we're doing. Underground River. Probably going to need to keep that Bitter Triumph open. Okay. Swing for 6. Ooh, it goes through, but I think we're in a lot of danger, guys. I think we're in a lot of danger here. We got 5 mana total. Let's see it, opponent. Number 1, I guess if it's not going to be like a Squirming Emergence for the turn, it's going to be cut down. They'll still have 3 open. This is a Squirming Emergence style of build, right? I believe so. They're going to hit our token. Pay the 1. Oh, and they have Fabled Passage here in hand that we can see, so they'll have the 4th anyways. So it could be something that I'm not thinking about right now. That I'm not thinking of. Having this much removal open in hand is great and all, but yeah, I guess like Bitter Triumph, instant speed removal, their Atraxa that they bring back, I guess that is pretty huge since they're only at 3. And Founding the Third Path. I guess we might lose our Forsaken Miner here too. They're going to exile target, instant or sorcery. They're going to grab a cut down. That does not hit our Forsaken Miner though. It's a 3/3. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe they were thinking it's a 2/2. They kind of forgot about the banner, maybe. I have no idea what just happened. Another cut down's terrible. GG opponent. Yeah, I think they grabbed the cut down thinking that the Forsaken Miner was a 2/2. We totally just won because of a small misplay. So we got really lucky. I'll take the victory, man. They're so hard to come by sometimes. But they did have a Bitter Triumph that they could have cast instead. They could have discarded a card and then got rid of our Forsaken Miner. Then the cut down would have been just a terrible draw here. However, guys, at the end of our turn, the case would have been solved. So, technically, I think there was still a really good chance that we would have gotten through, even if the opponent removed the Forsaken Miner. There's a few things to consider, right? Eventually, if they reanimated Atraxa, we got Bitter Triumph. Of course, discard one of the cut downs. I guess we could have taken 3/2 since we're chilling at 20. So, Bitter Triumph, instant speed, remove the Atraxa, bring back the Forsaken Miner. That would have hit the grave for just 1 black mana. Then on our turn 2, we could pop the case since we have so much mana. Since we have 5 mana, we pay the 2, grab our card that creates some hasty Skelly Bellies, and I think that would have also gotten us there. So I think technically that was leaning towards us, but at any point we could have been in some serious danger. Let's keep the ball rolling. Of course, all those cut downs would have been huge against, they will really come in handy against the aggro builds. That's just not the build that we wanted to see all 3 of them in, you know? We go first. This is definitely a slow hand. I'm very tempted since the Chart of Course helps us draw into more. Land. Tempted to find something faster since we're going first, but I really don't know if we can call this a mulligan, right? There's so much that we can draw into. That would just make this incredible. Tinybones. Mirror match? Maybe. Go ahead and drop the Disfigure on the Tinybones. It's a good target. It really is. Oh, Cult Conscript would have been awesome last turn. That's okay. That's okay. Because we still have a great turn 3 to set up with that Conscript too. Deep Cavern Bat, you get out of my hand, opponent. Okay, nowhere to run is the target, yes. And then we still have a lot of spot removal, so I think we'll be okay. Call Skelly Belly. And we have Patchwork Banner. Such a good draw, dude. That's awesome. Swing for 3. Get the Conscript down with the banner. It definitely sucks that there's a chance we lose Chart of Course, but that was just a great turn of setup, wasn't it? Yeah, we don't know what we're up against, but it could be mono black discard. Tinybones. Swing with bat. Oh. Yeah, the Tinybones, of course, trades into our Conscript. Could start with Chart of Course, see if we find something just a little bit better here. I don't think we want to discard, though, so I think we want to restock our hand. So we accept this trade, in other words. Totally fine. Drop the Chart of Course. Yeah, that's fine since the banner taps for any mana. Oh, I don't really like seeing more mana, but that's fine, I guess. What this lets us do is play the Tinybones for the turn, and then have the Bitter Triumph open. We'll see what the opponent ends up doing here on their 4th turn, though. Yeah, Bitter Triumph, take the 3 damage. Isn't terrible, right? But really depends what we want to hit. Since if we hit bat, we're only getting a nowhere to run left, where if they play like Shieldred for the turn, yeah, that's the target. Well, they swing with bat, they gain 1, because they don't plan on blocking. They want to block with the Shieldred instead. And Shieldred, take the 3, down to 15. We got a good swing, but we got to go fast, dude. Got to see a bit more. All right, swing for 5. Case of the Stashed Skeleton, I can't complain too much. Oh, you know what, though? Tinybones. I wasn't even thinking of Tinybones. Good thing the game knows how to play the game. I wasn't even thinking of Tinybones. We were about to steal their Shieldred. That definitely would have been the play over the case, right? Just taking their Shieldred just seems so brutal. Good game, opponent. Good game. So far with the Tinybone, well, you know what? I'll hold all opinions on the Tinybones until the very end, until the final discussion. Guys, while I have you here in the middle of the video, make sure you check out that description where we got that Discord link as well as that Patreon link too, if you're interested in joining either of those up or supporting the channel that way. Also, guys, for all the other YouTube nonsense, if you like the video, make sure you actually drop it a like. And if you enjoy the channel, then consider subscribing as well. It really does help out the channel. So thank you guys. All right, with that out of the way, we go first. This is a good hand. There's Corpses of the Lost. Heck yeah. This is good. Actually, even though we don't have any 1-drops in hand, this might be like the best hand of the evening. We'll see, though. Swift Spear. Ew. Hello, my opponent. Okay. All right, let's get an amazing blocker down with the Nuisance. Forsaken Miner after the fact again. That would have been huge on turn 1, but that's okay. It's not like this hand was a mulligan hand or anything. Show off. Nice. I guess it doesn't really matter which one we block. Taking one either way. Charter Course. Skelly Belly. And we start the haste rolling, right? We probably need to keep removal open. Nah. Never mind. I've now decided we can outpace mono red with this hand. Tinybones, hi. I'll keep you on top, I guess. Swing for 5 and see what we can pull off next turn. If we don't die. They find a 3rd mana. Urabrask's Forge. Good news. We're not dying this turn. Now we have to decide if we die next turn, however. Since going down to 12, I think they could easily push 12 through, so we're probably going to need to keep some blockers back or consider that Bitter Triumph for the turn as well. Tinybones, Forsaken Miner does more damage for the turn. We'll get that down. The big thing here is, do we keep the Bitter Triumph to pop the show off to survive, or do we keep, like, the Skullsnap Nuisance in the air as a blocker? It's kind of hard for them to hit. Let's keep Bitter. Let's play it super safe, actually. We'll keep Bitter Triumph open and the Nuisance as a blocker, because next turn is the turn we just push it all through then, right? I think so. Bitter Triumph is going to be discarding the Charter Course. That way we have as many skeletons as possible getting haste. Yep, I think they could easily push this through. Just playing it super duper safe with the Triumph and the Nuisance, that makes a lot of sense to me. Pretty much blocking with the Nuisance no matter what here. Probably on the show off. No, the show off is probably the Bitter Triumph target, but we'll see. We'll see. And we'll go to the blocking step. We'll block the Swift Spear. There's a chance that they can't give it trample, right? See what ends up happening. They're passing it. Discard a card. Target the show off. Discard the Charter Course. And now this is where they want to boost the Swift Spear and stuff. They wanted to figure out where our spot removal was landing before they boost their creatures. I think that's the big thing that the opponent was waiting for. They knew that this being kept open was suspicious. Holy cow. Oh, chump blockers for the turn. That's pretty huge for them, but you know what's pretty huge for us? Keeping our guy in the air. So they're at 9. Stick to the plan, right? Totally stick to the plan. Oh, we get that Surveil too on the Nuisance. We don't need that land. Get it out of here. Full swing. Where do they block? The 3-2, right? Right here. And then there's a lot. there's 10 getting through if they block a 3-2. I guess that's it. Very nice, guys. I love the Lynx play. But boy, we got a little bit lucky, I would say. I think they could have pushed much more damage through in that last turn. Like, them not having Monstrous Rage was very surprising. Cool stuff. I'll take the victories. Let's keep the ball rolling. Taking down mono red feels great. No matter what variant of mono red it is, they all seem pretty darn decent. So it's usually just this huge, tough uphill battle. All right, opponent, what you bringing to the table, buddy? Opponent goes first. All right, we'll give this a shot. I like having these 1-mana cards. Oh, you know what, though? Verge is only tapping for blue for now. That should be okay. That should be fine. Get the Conscript down. Since it enters tapped. Yeah, Verge tapping for blue. Even if we see, like, a Cavern. Okay, the Shores also works, too, though. I was going to say, pretty much any mana we see, we should be fine since we had Banner in hand, too. Nowhere to run. Could be kept open, but it's very likely a case of the stashed skeleton turn. Doesn't look like they want to remove that. They want to try to remove our 2-drop, which will totally be okay. Because solving the case next turn would be great. We'll see if Nowhere to Run has some good targets this game. Carrot Cake, mono white mid-range. We should be scared. We should be very scared. We definitely got to push as much through as possible here. Patchwork Banner, call Skeleberries. They got to chump on the 3-2, which is essential here. They let their rabbit survive instead, which is surprising to say the least. Also, they missed a plane, so... well, first of all, they would have chumped if it was a temporary lockdown turn, because the temporary lockdown picks up the rabbit anyways, so they'd want to just take 3 less life there. Missing their mana, guys, that's pretty good news for us. I feel bad when the opponents have issues with their mana, but at the same time, it's just like, it's such good news. We don't have... Yeah, we want Surveil. I'll drop the Nowhere to Run so they have 1 less blocker. 1 less chump could be huge. I want the Surveil for the turn. We see Patchwork Banner. I'm going to keep that on top. We have so many skeletons on the board, boosting them all again. Again, they keep the rabbit back. They figure I'll have a better chump in the future, maybe? They find their 3rd. I'm terrified of a temporary lockdown. Terrified of it, dude. Just our entire board gets scooped up. The lay down arms for our 2/5 flyer. Okay. Okay. Patchwork Banner. With 2 mana open, we have to anticipate more spot removal from the opponent for sure. Okay. We tried to get rid of their blocker. It's looking good, guys. We still got 8 on the board. Parting Gust. GG opponent. Yep, so we're about to remove their last chump blocker, swing for 8. Really surprised they waited a few turns for the chump blocks with the 1/1 rabbits, right? Very surprised by that. GG, Skeletons doing the thing, Banner doing the thing. You like to see it. How far are we? We're only 30 minutes into the video? Oh, dude. Totally have time for another one. Or another 2 if they're that fast, but You know, win or lose, very satisfied with how the deck list has performed so far. Seems totally fine. That's a lot of mana. Opponent goes first here. You know what? It's like I said. No matter how it performs, I'm really satisfied. Let's keep it and see what happens. With only 19 land in here, it's very unlikely we see more mana for a couple turns, so we do find a 1 mana Skelly Belly. We want to go Cavern since we take damage from the river, but then also Verge only taps for blue right now based on this hand, so. Dread Knight, alright. Case of the Stash Skeleton. That might be a pretty good trade for them. But I don't mind the trade, so let's see what they do. They're going to take the 2. Okay, so we were able to cheese 2 through there, which is pretty good. Get the case down, and we're ready for the Corpse of the Lost. Duress. Oh, that's rough, dude. Corpses of the Lost is out of here. They got a good swing with the Dread Knight, and I think they're going to want to. Another Dread Knight. Yeah, they definitely swing. Chart a Course is pretty decent. Again, decent trade on the Forsaken. Verge is our blue for the Chart a Course. We could cut down the Dread Knight. Could be pretty bad. Alright. We swing, see what they do first. See, they know we got cut down, so they know that if they trade, we could use cut down on the other Dread Knight, and then bring the Forsaken Miner right back from the grave, so I think that's what they were thinking there. So we can successfully get the Verge down and draw for the turn, and I think drawing is going to be huge here. Still have the cut down open too if we want. Another Forsaken Miner? Who needs the cut down open? We just drop that instead, right? Down to 5. Anyone's game easily, dude. Easily. This is going to be a good one. Oh, hey, Vine Lasher. It's Golgari Landfall. Wow. Saving the Fabled Passage for that moment, I bet, right? Oh, we're in danger. We're in big danger. We're at 7. Wow. Okay. I mean, cut down one of the Vine Lashers is probably going to be essential. They probably just take the 6 here down to 8, and then they're hoping to push the last couple points of damage through, which I think they easily can. They didn't pop the Fable yet. Give me 1 second, opponent. I'm thinking here, because there's got to be a way to survive, right? That Duress on the corpses, man. Duress? Whenever I see Duress, it rarely misses. Usually hits something really good. See, if we're looking for, like, maximum survival, we could try to find another one of our 1-drop removal spells off the Chart a Course. Nothing on our board right now blocks, so Nuisance could be a great blocker for the Dread Knights. Let's go for the swing. Yeah, nothing on the board. Blocks, so I guess Nuisance should come down and we'll keep the cut down open. It's better than risking a draw with the Chart a Course, I think. We're going down to 5 here is the big thing, and we're very likely going to have to pick up a Dread Knight over a Vine Lasher. They saved the Fabled Passage because they wouldn't mind top decking more land when they have the Vine Lashers on the board. Yeah, they don't want to thin the deck if they don't have to. Go for the throat on our 1 blocker, guys. Actually, is that it? I think that's game. They have a full swing. They get 5 through. They pop the Fabled Passage, and that's it, right? Yep. Good game, opponent. Wow. Golgari Landfall really just pushing a lot of excess damage through. Removal right on time. They could have easily been saving that for the right moment. Grab the land. Pings for 2. So if we would have removed... No, that wouldn't have worked, right? Hey, good game, opponent. That was excellent. Really cool seeing Vine Lasher do the thing, too. Defeat. 35 minutes into the video. I think we showcased the deck list well enough. Let's go talk about this one. It's pretty cool. I do like the new Skelly Belly edition. Hold up, end of video pack. Heck yeah, it's Duskmourn. Let's see what we get. Ooh. Hey, an Overlord. You'll like to see it. These Overlords have been awesome so far. That's a good one to hit out of a pack. Here's the deck list again, guys. All right. This totally did the thing, right? I think so. What was the win rate? I have no idea. Even if we had a negative win rate, it felt pretty decent, didn't it? I think so. I think so. I think, of course, like more testing required too. Number one, all 4 Tinybones, even though it's legendary, the legendary didn't hold us up at all. Just having a lot of 1-drop skeletons seems like good. Right? I don't think I want to drop this down to 3. I think I like all 4. And if you drop it down to 3, you could just like go up another piece of removal. That would be fine. That would totally be fine. Maybe like a 1-of removal, more like a utility removal, like Sheoldred's Edict or something. I could see that, but like 1-drop removal is kind of important too in here. Patchwork Banner was an MVP today, guys, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do, where it's not just a waste of a turn 3, it's a turn 3, boost all of our skeletons, and also play an extra 1-drop skeleton, which is just super dangerous for the opponents. Like all 4 of them, I'd keep it. All 4 Corpses of the Lost kind of hid from us today. We got it in 1 game, did we? Yeah, we had Hasty Skeletons in just 1 game. Did we have it in multiple games? I don't remember right now. Kind of felt like it was hiding from us, though. If we could run just 8 of these instead of the banner, I probably would. Even though banner was an absolute MVP. I mean, that's kind of a similar concept. That's kind of what we're doing with the banner. We have 8 things here on the top end that all boost our Skelly Bellies. Skullsnap Nuisance, definitely worth the splash of blue. Same thing with the Charter Course, man. Restocking our hand is huge in a deck list like this that just dumps your hand onto the board in a couple turns, and then all of a sudden you just need to see more off the top to push that last bit through to the opponent. So I like the 3 Charter Course. Really like the splash of blue in here in general, actually. The 1 Verge makes sense. If you go up any more Verge, there's going to be a lot of moments where you just see your other dual lands and a couple Verge, and this deck list does not need multiple blue sources on the board at any given time. Just needs 1 blue source, if that, in some games, right? You always need majority black sources on the board. What if you see Verge and 2 Cavern of Souls? Then you won't be able to play your Nowhere to Run, Bitter, a Reunion, Cut Down, Disfigure, right? So the 1 of Verge makes sense. Honestly, you could just also play an Island too, and that would do a similar concept. But at the very least, if you have the Verge and you see a Swamp, then you do have multiple black sources on the board, so you can play like a Cult Conscript and keep a cut down open for the turn too. So that's why the 1 of Verge, and also that's why we have all 4 of the Pain lands and the Darkslick Shores for the early land too. That's why we don't have something like 4 Cavern of Souls. We're just like, we're casting a lot that is not Skelly Bellies. Case and the Corpses too, and the Nowhere to Run. So Cavern of Souls can literally only cast Cult Conscript, the Forsaken Miner, Tinybones, and the Nuisance. And of course, it can cast the Patchwork Banner too, since that's just a colorless artifact. But look at all this. This is a lot of cards that the Cavern of Souls can't cast. Hold on, I don't like how I arranged that. Anyways, the curve is totally fine. I think it actually curves out quite nicely. Well, like, the actual curve is, like, non-existent. It's an aggro curve, right? But, but, like, when you're playing it, everything plays out. Like, there's not awkward turns where you have this excess mana open, and it's really awkward because you only played a 1-drop, and then you can't play anything else in your hand. Like, it's not like that, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like you can successfully have multiple plays on each turn while keeping stuff open and stuff like that, so... Is that it? Is that all I have to say? Yeah, we saw skeletons do a lot in the past. It still felt pretty darn good today. I would have loved to actually have more aggro matches, and I would have loved to see like the Nowhere to Run do a little bit more too. So this is one to visit in the future and maybe just go a completely different route with it as well. Maybe lean it even more blue and try some mill strategies, right? It was pointed out that this skull crab here, this is also a skeleton. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, target player mills 2 cards. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, like maybe at some point we can visit Skeleton Mill. That would probably be really, really janky, especially when compared to this deck list, right? Some other skeletons that didn't make the honorable mentions and stuff. I don't think I've tried this Hunted Bone Brute yet. So that could be something to potentially consider, but probably not. Not for what this deck list is doing at the very least, right? It's surprisingly, there were some games where it would have been possible to play the Gisa, right? So maybe as a one of on the top end still could be decent, but 19 land in here, guys. I think there's going to be a lot of games where you chill at 2 mana for like the first, I don't even know, 5 turns or longer, right? You might have like 5 full turns at just 2 mana. So I don't think the Gisa is actually worth it. I think everything that the deck list was doing today, yeah, there's no changes. I can't think of anything. The only thing I could think of is dropping a Pickpocket down to 3 and going up one of your favorite thing to play with, right? Or favorite piece of spot removal or something. I could totally see that being fine, but I'm not going to change it because the legendary didn't even come into play today. And honestly, Tinybones has a huge target on its back anyways. So when it is out there and it is getting through a lot, there's going to be moments where the opponent actually does target the Tinybones or finally just trade into it since it has Death Touch, right? And then you just play another one out of your hand. So if you say you like 3 of these in the same game, it's actually, I don't think it's going to hold you up as much as you would actually think. So guys, at this point, I'm just rambling. I really don't have anything else to say. The matches just showcased pretty much the entire deck list beautifully. We went over a lot earlier in the video too. So yeah, if you made it this far into the video for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you. And also let me know in the comments, what would you add or take out? Did you like the build? Do you think we should have put even more blue cards in? Or do you like that it's pretty much mono black splash of decent blue cards? Yeah, the Nuisance, I feel like this is a great addition to Skeleton. So cool stuff. All right, guys. Hey, I will see you in the next video.